Well, Sydney's recent wet weather has caused the Warragamba Dam to overflow for the second time this year. A spokesperson for Water New South Wales said the spill will likely reach 30 to 40 gigalitres a day. Reminds me of this prediction, and, you can never play it enough, from Tim Flannery.
Even the rain that falls isn't actually going to fill our dams and our river system. Even the rain that falls isn't actually going to fill our dams and our river system.
I could just put that on loop all night, to be perfectly honest. Now, funnily enough, Flannery authored a piece with two of his colleagues at Melbourne University this month, in which he described looking into times when Australia had similar levels of CO2 to what's predicted in the future. He wrote, quote, "These studies, which largely involve examining sediments and fossils, reveal a radically different Australia to the one we inhabit. The continent was warmer and wetter, yes, wetter, and filled with unfamiliar plant and animal species. It suggests Australia may be much wetter and look very different in centuries and millennia to come." Well, isn't it great to know, Paul, that Tim has come round, he's seen the light. We've gone from the dams never being filled to actually climate change means the place is going to be really wet.
Well, Caleb, as you know, I have a tattoo on my lower back and it says "Follow the science." I'm ruled by that, and I'm pleased that Tim. No, I don't. Relax, everyone.
Hang on, can you moon the camera?
Yeah, no, don't worry. The Guardian's already started a 12-star special.
12 hours of rolling coverage.
Misinformation on Sky News. It was a joke. Relax, everyone.
I knew you were the type to get a transfer.
But I've got to say, apart from the climate change angle, the part that I take out of Warragamba Dam spilling again is those poor people that are going to get flooded again, that houses are going to get smashed up, all the rest of it. And then this government, when it was in opposition, was absolute that they were not going to raise the Warragamba Dam. The previous government said that they were going to, but that was only if they had the money, maybe. But they'd been around for 15 years. The reality is that Sydney, according to all those big Australia projections, ends up with millions of more people. So where does the water come from?
Yep.
This government turns around and says desalination. Well, desalination costs a lot more money than the ability, in my view, over time to be able to just reinforce this dam. But we saw the choice that was made. Rather than building infrastructure that matches the population, they chose the potential disruption to heritage sites and the people that we will all hear about the next couple of days, and the news will all do sombre voices about. Yet the actual solution to making sure those people don't get flooded again is to build a higher dam.
I find the whole thing so maddening, and you would know it very well, Evelyn, being a farmer yourself. You rely on what comes from your land, and you have your own water. You don't take the main stuff. Why, in a country that, for hundreds of years, Dorothea McKellar wrote, 130 years ago about a land of droughts and flooding plains, and we have not built a major dam in this country for more than 3 decades. How dumb are we?
I don't think Australia has really built very well for our future. You only have to look at our public transport and our road infrastructure to go, no one was thinking long term here when they were planning these sorts of things. And it's no different to water. Like you mentioned, water is life for me on the farm. I can't even take a bath. I don't have one on my farm because I'm like, I won't have water to drink for a week. I have tank water. And so what we do is we catch as much water as we can when we can, and you try very, very desperately to not waste a drop. And I think that our country needs to have long-term plans in place to do such a thing, because Australia is a changing climate. Like you said, it's written into our history, it's written in our songs. You only have to ask Indigenous Australians who have been here longer than us to know that the climate is constantly changing. We wanted to give them a voice, except for when it doesn't go, it goes against our agenda. But I think what we need to ask ourselves is, how often do these experts or politicians have to get it wrong? Like, how often does it have to happen for us to go, you know what, this is just a cloak. This is a cloak. This is some sort of pretext to usher in policies, to usher in tax, to usher in who knows what else with this catastrophic climate alarmism to bring in Agenda 2030
Can we just,
to control.
can we just get back to the dam for just 1 minute?
It is, though. All of this climate alarmism.
Not everything is a globalist conspiracy.
No, it's not. But this.
But isn't
100%
my point? I would almost attack this from the other direction, which is the way people often argue against action on climate change, which is that when Dorothea McKellar said, I love a sunburnt country, you know, and the droughts and flooding rains, she wasn't saying, therefore, we should, you know, make it rain when there's a drought, or therefore we should always plug the hole. She was saying part of the beauty of Australia is that it's got a really kind of vibrant and at times chaotic and extreme landscape and weather cycle, and that this is part of what makes it beautiful. It's beauty and it's terror. She actually uses the word terror. And I think,
yes.
And the problem, as far as I understand with the Warragamba Dam walls, is there's just not that sort of bang for buck, that the amount of risk you would mitigate compared to the cost to actually doing it is actually simply not worth it. Yes, it does very occasionally flood. This flood is nowhere near as bad as the last flood that got everyone saying you can build a wall. And I think governments kind of think, well, you know, if we're building this wall, future water supply aside, but if we're building this giant wall just to protect, you know, X hundred or X thousand homes that are probably, you know, there's a 1% chance maybe are going to be at risk of being flooded in a once in a century
I still remember
event.
my lifetime, there were water restrictions. I still remember growing up, my parents like, oh, it's not 4 o'clock, we can't put the sprinkler on. This is a problem. We don't plan for the future because our country is so tumultuous with its climate, and that is normal for us. It's not this climate fearism.
Some people would say that, you know, planning for climate change is planning for the future. It's exactly what you're arguing for.
The planning we're told to do, Caroline, was from Tim Flannery originally, that we don't need the dams because there's no bloody rain to fall in them. And now he's saying that there's going to be so much rain, we probably need more.
Well, I mean, this is the problem with climate alarmism and climate theory. I mean, even when the Bureau of Meteorology can't get the weather right for the next week, and then we're having people make these predictions, which clearly are so out there, but anything that people say, anything you want, any direction you want to take it, you can just apply to it. You can just pull a number out of your head and say, this is what's going to happen next week, and therefore we need this policy approach.
And you can get paid handsomely for it as well. It's a damn joke as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, well done.
I thank you, Paul.